Hello fellow travelers, my name's SG and welcome to the channel. Today we'll be doing another review, but we'll be doing it of a comic book series that is near and dear to my heart. The 2013 Mars Attacks crossover event that spanned between 5 comics of different genres and different properties. This is one of my favorites. I hope you enjoy this video, and let's get started, shall we? For this particular series, we're going to start with the story. We're going to go through each individual book and how they are related and or not how they're related, and who of course wrote and drew them. Alright, we'll start with the Ghostbusters book, written by Eric Burnham and the artist Jose Holder. In this story, we get the Ghostbusters from the real Ghostbusters, the cartoon that came shortly after the movie, where it appears that a barn is being haunted by aliens. In this movie, we realize that the aliens had long since gone and is now being possessing machines along with haunting the farmland, and the Ghostbusters have to get rid of these Martian specters. An interesting take on the story, and it's pretty funny and pretty good overall. The next book starts with Popeye, written by Martin Powell and art by Terry Betty. The story overall is that the Sea Hag from the Popeye series has summoned upon the Martians to invade Earth and to destroy Popeye, and it is up to Popeye to help defeat these Martians along with his friends and his dad, Popeye, to fight back at these Martians, which they keep repronouncing as Marskins, but in staying in character for the way they're trying to depict them as the old school Popeye comic strips rather than the Popeye cartoons. One that I did not expect to come into the series was Kiss, the rock band. This was written by Chris Ryall, and the art was done by Alan Robinson. This one takes a different approach because it is a direct connection to the Kiss comics. I have not read them, but I am aware of their existence. I do suggest that if you're interested in this particular section, go check out the Kiss comics. You can find them on Amazon. And let's continue with what we were going along with. In this one, this predates the actual Kiss comics with them being teenagers, and it shows that the Martians were trying to invade at that point, right when the Kiss band was about to receive their totems of the demigods and were about to become their full-formed Kiss counterparts. This is a cool book because we get a lot of really funny art, many references to many characters, and we also get to see Martians dressed as the Kiss personas, which is really cool and really fun to think about. Next we have the Transformers series, written by Shane McCarthy and art by Matt Frank. This one we are seeing the final conclusion to the fight between Optimus Prime and Megatron. This is definitely taking place during the events of the cartoon series that they are now doing into a comic book. Well, at that time, I'm sure that the comic has long since been discontinued, but it is continuing off that franchise. It fits with the Mars Attacks overall theme, and there are so many sight gags and the idea that the Martians are considered to be a more hostile and volatile race that even the Decepticons kind of fear in this universe. A fun touch, but it fits with what we know about them from the movie and from the books we have read so far. The last in this series was called Zombies vs. Robots, and it was written by Chris Ryall, and the art was by Andy Kahn. The story for this one is that there is a robot invasion currently happening, and at the same time there is a rise of zombies that seem to threaten that plan. And the Martians have come down to invade Earth, but are unaware of this and are caught in surprise by both the robots and zombies attacking them. It's a very interesting take, and it's a fun story to read. But as I said, it is not as cartoony or not as interesting as the other ones, considering that this is its own comic book series that has been put out. Now, the artwork for each book is very interesting because they are all in respect to their main titles or their set worlds. Popeye's comic looks like it would in a comic strip or an old school comic. You could tell that the dots are there, the imagery is there. It's set to look like a Popeye book, which is very fun and very interesting and great take for this type of crossover. The Ghostbusters is set in, like I said, the real Ghostbusters cartoon series, and they keep that aesthetic throughout the book. It definitely has its charms. It definitely has its give and takes to those that may not know the real Ghostbusters series, but it is easy to get to. It's easy to digest, and it is a fun looking book, I would have to say. Transformers, even though it was set in the 80s, they did give it a great deal of revamp. They did make it look more modern, more smooth. They do make Optimus Prime look as though he would be in the modern day, but still have that idea that he's set in the 80s. It's a interesting book. It's fun. You could just tell this style with the Megatron depiction. It does keep the blaster on his shoulder. That does show that it is supposed to be an 80s based world, but still has the vibrant new look of a modern comic. So it is a very good depiction and mixture of both these different types of feels. The Kiss book looks like the Kiss comics. It does have a very unique and modern feel to it, but it tries to look like a rock comic. It looks like it's trying to look like the idea of what a rock star would think a comic book would look like, which isn't wrong. It is good looking. It is one of the more fun ones, I would have to say. It does take a lot of liberties and does add a very high vibrant color scheme. So that is one of my favorites of the series, and it's very interesting. It's very cool looking. And of course, we get the Martians dressed as the Kiss members, which is amazing in itself, and just for that, the book is worth having. I would definitely say this is one to buy for sure. And finally, we have Robots vs. Zombies. This one has more of a darker tone to it. The shading is darker. It fits that universe of it being a post-apocalyptic world, with just the Martians being, as usual, the worst. It definitely has that vibe that this is different compared to the other in this list. It keeps to its tone, it keeps to its overall story, and it just adds that this is a more serious, modern version of what the Martians would be like. And it does add different variety to the Martian story. So it is good. Not my favorite of this 5-part series, but I could definitely see this one being not the best designed, but rather the most intriguing looking, and to keep your focus throughout the book. Now, there are plenty of references in these books that would take me all day to mark them all off, so I'm just going to name a few. If some of you have read the book series and have wanted to take note of certain ones, please leave them down below. I'm sure I'm not going to catch them all, and I'm sure that there's going to be people that know more than I do about certain things involving maybe these individual stories. So, we're going to start with the bigger reference from the Mars Attacks movie, and that is that they don't speak Earthling. Some that could mean English or whatever. So, and that's a common joke in the movie that we think we can translate them, but it turns out that they just want to destroy. And that is prevalent in almost all the books. Because it's a comic book, they do show what they're saying in Martian, but they do make reference that we can't understand what they're saying. It's more prevalent in the Robots vs. Zombies, where they do say for a fact that they have fixed their communication devices and are able to speak Earthling. And that's just so that they know that they're going to be destroyed within very few minutes of meeting each other. In the Ghostbuster comics, we do get not a Ghostbuster or Mars Attacks reference, but an Orson Welles reference, and that is the when War of the Worlds broadcast being shown at the beginning, showing that the Martians did try to invade at that point, but they ended up crashing and dying in the process, and everyone thinking that, oh, it was just a hoax from the Radio Man, because that's what the War of the Worlds broadcast was, just a hoax that did get people scared. That's a funny little throw in there, and fits with the Ghostbusters themes and ideas of the original cartoon series. A very nice touch. We do get Slimer in that book, and we do get a few smaller references, but it's more about the overarching story. So let's move on to the Popeye one. There are many smaller references in there for the Popeye series, such as the lagoons making an appearance, their little yellow creature popping in and out, and Popeye being involved. But the bigger Mars Attacks references we get are the giant robots bodysuits that we see from the movie making an appearance, and immediately being destroyed by Popeye and Popeye. So much so that it terrifies the Martians and they immediately retreat. The Transformers references are in there with the idea that the Transformers references are that they shrink down Megatron, which is a reference to the movies when they shrink the general and stomp on him. But in this one, they've shrink him down to what would be like a regular Transformers toy, which is a funny little reference to both the movies and to the idea that they were both originally toy figurines. But they do not crush him, and relies really on the idea that Megatron being so overconfident, just like the general in the movie. Another one set more in this version of the Transformers story is the idea that Spike always wears those yellow wader shoes, those water shoes that he is always seen in the cartoon, and even I think in the Mark Wahlberg Transformers movie, that is being laughed at, but becomes a little bit of a joke towards the end that they are pretty effective. It's funny, and it does well with the book. It's pretty good. The next one we have to focus on is the Kiss one. Not many references are in there that are of Mars Attacks, other than the fact that they do not understand what people are saying, and that they do look like the Kiss personas. It does rely mainly on the knowledge of the Kiss comics more than the Mars Attacks books or the Mars Attacks movie. It's still a fun read and still one of the better ones. It's just that to get all the references, you have had at least some knowledge of the Kiss comics. This is a very fun and energetic series that you don't really need to be following their respected comic series, but it does work as a group of one-shots that you can easily just jump into. The jokes are there, the references are there, and the storyline, though they're short, are very full and make you feel like you actually read something from beginning to end. I definitely recommend this as a series that you should own and make part of your collection, if not just for the fact that you love one of these series like Ghostbusters, Transformers, or The Rock Band Kiss, just for the fact that the novelty of it, the idea of all these events crossing over as their respected worlds exist within the idea of Mars Attacks. It's a fun and silly idea, but it works in the way they present it. Thank you again for listening. I hope you enjoyed this review. I know it's not a movie or current series, but this is one of my favorites that I really did enjoy. So I hope you come back next time. Because of the amount of stuff coming out this week, such as the Fiona Cake series and One Piece live action, I might be doing a video maybe tomorrow and Saturday for these two coming events. But we'll see how that plays out. I'm not gonna make Saturday my usual day to post stuff. It'll be something that like I might do every so often. So we'll see how that plays out. Thank you again for watching, and have a great day. See you next time.